Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for iChess. Welcome to this new video where we'll be talking about the Benko Gambit. And the Benko is a perfect weapon for black if you're looking for the initiative and if you're looking for an aggressive option against d4. So after d4 we play knight to f6. White plays c4, and here our move is going to be c5. Here white advances with d5, and if he plays something else, if he plays something like knight to f3, then we are in an English opening, but d4 players, they are likely to play d5, because here if they play something like this or e3, they are going to play something they are not used to, because if he wants to play in English, he's gonna start with c4. But if he starts with this move, then c4, c5, this is the natural continuation. Playing d5, gaining some space in the center, and advancing. So after d5, the most natural move for black is e6, and in this case we are playing the well-known Benoni. However, after the move c5, d5, our move is going to be b5. And here we have the well-known Benko Gambit. It looks a bit crazy, but when we play b5, we are already developing an initiative on the queen side. Plus the d5 pawn, and this is something we'll see during this video, the d5 pawn is going to be weak. Sure, white, he's gonna have an extra pawn, but in return black is gonna have a lot of initiative, especially on the queen side. So after b5, here we have some sublines. I mean, white can play random moves such as queen c2, knight to f3. He can even play a move like f3, which is a counter gambit. We played b5, now he's sacrificing a pawn himself, but all of these lines are considered sublines, and the main line is accepting the gambit with c takes b5. And after this move, we continue with the natural a6. Once again, white, he has sublines, but the main move is taking on a6. And this is the main move for a reason. White, he's got better chances if he accepts the gambit. If he declines the gambit, then black usually gets a good position without sacrificing a pawn. So white, best he can do is take the pawn and try getting his pieces out. So he takes on b5, he takes on a6, and here black plays this move. Surprising, but if you think about it, there is no rush to take the pawn on a6. We can take that pawn whenever we want, and we are waiting till we have some extra information, and then we decide whether to take with the knight, with the rook, or the bishop. But it is good to know we usually take on a6 with the bishop. So in the meantime, we play g6, we make sure we develop our king side, and then we take the a6 pawn. At the moment, white has two extra pawns, but once we take on a6, he'll have an extra pawn, and that's it. So okay, in this position we have a lot of moves for white, but the most natural move is knight to c3, getting the knight out, also preparing a move like e4. White would play the same if black was playing a Benoni. White would play knight c3, e4, Those are the natural moves, and here we can take on a6. We can delay this move, but it makes sense to play bishop takes a6, because now if he plays e4, which is a natural move, then we can take on f1. And that is why we took on a6, because we wanted to play bishop takes f1, and after king takes, as you can probably tell, white keeps his extra pawn, but he has some drawbacks. And one of these drawbacks is he lost the right to castle, and his king on f1 is not ideal. Even if he plays, well, here we play d6 by the way, we want to stop this, and even if he castles by hand, his king side is going to be weak.
Buying individual chess courses to add to your collection can get expensive, and waiting for the course or video you're looking for to go on sale can take weeks or even months. So, what's a chess enthusiast to do? Introducing the iChess Club, an exclusive community of chess enthusiasts that enjoy a wild range of benefits, including a permanent 40% discount on virtually all chess courses on our shop. Yes, 40% on all items anytime. But wait, there's more. For those of you who like physical DVDs, we offer unlimited free shipping on all items, anywhere in the world, anytime. You'll also get access to the entire iChess.club library, where we post over a dozen exclusive new videos every month. Our lineup of presenters is of much higher quality than anything you can find on YouTube, with exclusive videos by Simon Williams, Damian Lemos, Valerie Lilov, Brian Smith, Eric Rosen you can't find anywhere else, and even private appearances by world's top grandmasters such as Anatoly Karpov, Judith Polgar, Susan Polgar, and more. There are dozens of other benefits as well, such as an additional 5% off all items already on sale, a free 30-minute preview of every single product in our shop, and the ability to purchase items at the sale price up to 30 days after the sale has ended. There are so many benefits we can't possibly list them all in this video. So, join the iChess Club community today and start saving. Joining is easy and you can cancel at any time. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today.
And queenside wise, we still have the Benko ideas, as we'll see in this game. Black plays this move, white continues with his kingside castle by hand. We castle, he plays knight f3, and then the simple knight bd7. This is the spirit of the Benko. The A file is already open, so is the B file. And sure, we are down a pawn, but look at this. Every single piece is playing rook a8, a possible rook f b8. Our bishop is also helping on the queen side, and king side wise we have no worries. White is not gonna attack on the king side. Why? Because his king is also there. On the other hand, on the queen side, he's got an extra pawn, but we have too many pieces there, and it is fair to say we have the initiative. White, he still has to finish his development, and we have moves like queen a5, rook fb8, or even queen b6 and rook fb8. All of these moves are coming, and once our major pieces are on the queen side, then we can also consider maneuvers like knight to e8, knight c7, or even knight g4 and knight to e5. This is a well-known maneuver as well, because then we can try playing knight c4. Lot of ideas, and we always keep the initiative as black. This is what I love about the Benko. We are down a pawn, but we have initiative, and nowadays we know the value of initiative. It is much better than having an extra pawn. In practice, it is even more important because it is tough to defend as white. And as black, even if you have a worse position, you're the one attacking. So that is definitely an advantage. So this is one of the lines. Let's see this again. D5, D5, takes A6, takes this move, G6, and knight to C3. When he plays this move, and when he's trying to play E4, then bishop takes A6 is recommended. Remember, we are trying to take on F1, and white loses the right to castle, but this is not the only variation white has. He can also try the well-known fianchetto variation, and this is actually supposed to be the main line against the Benko. He's trying to play this, he's trying to play knight to F3, and then he castles kingside. So here I like D6. We have some details in the move order. You get the feeling you can play whatever you want, but against some move orders it is better to play D6 first. As you can see, we can take on A6 before playing this move. Sometimes in this position, sometimes it is better to delay capturing on A6. You get used, the more games you see, you get used to knowing the best move order for each line. So yeah, knight C3, bishop takes A6. Remember now, we want to take on F1 if he plays E4, but if he plays the fianchetto variation, now he's planning bishop G2, so that's why everybody plays D6 first. I mean, we can also play this. There's no real difference, but maybe black is trying to avoid stuff with D6. So just in case, we play this move first, and after bishop here we play bishop G7, knight to F3, and in this position we have two main lines for black. We can castle, obviously, that is like the main move, or the most natural move, I should say, and the other move, which I would call it a new approach, but it's been a new approach since 20 years ago, knight bd7. We delay this move and we play knight bd7 first. We'll see both, but first let's see the natural kingside castle. White, he castles as well. I play the natural move knight bd7. As black, most of my pieces are out, and I plan queen a5, rook fb8, and then I have the Benko setup. This happens if black castles. And the thing is, in this position, white, he can try playing the queen c2 plus rook d1 setup, which is okay. This is not winning for white, but he basically manages to develop the queen and the rook to d1. And as black, we have good play here, rook fb8. We have the Benko plans with knight g4, knight e5. We definitely have some pressure on the queen side. We have all sort of ideas, knight b6, knight c4, knight e8, knight c7. There's no general rules. I mean, all we have here is plans, and we can change depending on what white plays, of course. But you get a picture of what the Benko looks like in this variation. This is what we are looking for when we play b5 and a6. A lot of initiative on the queen side. Every single piece is playing for black. So, as I was saying, this happens in this position if black castles knight f3. If we play this move, then we allow the queen c2 rook d1 setup, which is not winning for white, but as I was saying, he gets the chance to develop the queen to c2 and rook d1. And by knowing this, we'll understand why black plays knight bd7 here. Instead of castling, he plays this move first, and once white castles, then we have knight b6. We play this maneuver first, we can castle later, and as you can tell, white cannot play queen c2. Well, actually, he can, but d5 pawn is under attack. I don't know why king h1 was played. I think this was a mouse slip by the program. I didn't play king h1. So, as I was saying, when we play knight d7, knight b6, this maneuver before castling, we attack the pawn on d5, we basically stop the queen c2, rook d1 maneuver, and for white it is also tough to play e4, because that pawn is under a pin. So we basically avoid the queen c2, rook d1 idea. Maybe he can play it anyway, but the thing is, we take, we capture a center pawn, we get the pawn back, we invested a pawn in the opening with b5, now we get this pawn back, and we still have a wonderful initiative on the queen side and the center as well. White, he doesn't have any tricks on this diagonal. I mean, he can play a move like this maybe, but we always have moves like e6, even a move like knight b4, and pinning. I mean, getting rid of the pin, that's what I was trying to say. So, that is the main difference between castling and playing knight bd7, because we play knight to b6, we attack the pawn on d5, and we also have the idea of playing bishop c4. Imagine he plays, let's play king h1, we can play bishop c4, and it is almost impossible for white to hold the pawn on d5. I mean, we have too many pieces there, and it's also tough for him to improve his queen side, because whenever he plays a move like b3, we'll have a discovered move with knight f6, and knight c3 is going to be hanging, so white, he's up a pawn, but his position is not comfortable. So, with that being said, after knight bd7, white, instead of castling, he has a smarter move, and this move is rook to b1. And the idea is to meet knight b6 with b3. So white here, he won two things. First, he got his rook out of this diagonal, and second, he stops bishop c4. So, as you can see, white, if he wants to get some advantage, he has to play very precise moves. I mean, unless white is an advanced player, he's not gonna play rook b1 here. When we play knight bd7, he's gonna castle without even thinking, because that is the main move, the most natural move. Same as black here, after knight f3, if black doesn't know much, he's gonna castle. But if we know deeply, if we know better, we can play knight bd7 first, and then knight b6. All of these tricks are part of the Benko, and what I like about the Benko is, even if you don't know these tricks, you can get a good position by playing natural chess. Imagine you don't play knight bd7, which is the best move probably. Imagine you castle, you can still get a good position. You get your pieces out, queen a5, rook fb8. We always have ideas with knight g4, this is what I said earlier. So, even if you don't know much, as black it's easy to play. As white, on the other hand, it is tough, because the extra pawn is not it's not convincing as white. Even if he tries advancing his extra pawn, he's creating weaknesses on the queen side, and for white it's not easy to get his pieces out on the queen side. Imagine we have queen a5, rook fb8, we have every single piece hitting the queen side, so white has a tough time defending this position. So that is the conclusion. As black, you'll always get an active position no matter what you do. Another plan, and I forgot to say this, I mean, Benko has endless plans. This is one worth remembering. Imagine you play knight bd7, he castles, I play knight b6. This is the line we were discussing before, where white has issues protecting the pawn on d5. Let's say he plays a move like rook e1, getting out of this diagonal, preparing e4, I castle, and let's say he plays e4. If he plays this move, I think this is already a positional mistake by him. In these lines, white usually has the pawn on e2, usually keeps the pawn on e2 because he wants to have the d3 square under control. As you can see here, d3 is not a hole, but after e4 we have a new target we can try exploiting with moves like knight fd7. One day we can try jumping to d3. We can also try c4 plus knight c5 and then knight d3. It's like we are all in on the queen side, and white, no matter what he does, he's gonna have issues there. And all we invested is a pawn. We haven't sacrificed a minor piece. It is just a pawn, and we have a lot of activity in return. In these positions, you see a lot of white players playing bishop f1, which seems to be fixing the problem, but then we are glad to take, and now no matter how he retakes, he's gonna have a tough position. King takes, this looks weird, some weaknesses there, but we can focus with queen c8 queen c8, we try playing queen h3 or queen a6, rook fb8. Again, we are all in on the queen side. And king side wise, if he gives up this important bishop, let's not forget about f5. This is also a possibility. His king is way too weak at the moment. He has no development, and we have very active play. So another mistake, another possible mistake white can make in these positions is playing a quick e4, because then the d3 square is ours. And if suppose he plays good moves, something like, I don't know, maybe bishop f4, h3, this is a good move, because then after e4 we cannot play this, so h3, let's say this is a smart move. Well, worst case scenario as black, I play queen c7, rook here, and again I have a lot of pressure going on with my rooks, with knight c4. Or another plan, and you'll see this often, is rook to a7, and the idea when you play rook a7 is queen a8, and possibly bishop b7. With the queen on a8, we hit the a file, and we also hit the pawn on d5. So, a lot of possibilities. It is a position where you also have, well, almost every single piece is on board, so if you're playing for a win, this is perfect for black. Initiative, a lot of plans, easy to remember, and not much theory. In these positions, you don't have forced variations. As black, as I was saying, you can play rook a7, queen a8, you can play with variations with queen a5 and rook fb8, queen b6, rook fb8, knight d7, knight d6. You can play with knight d7 and don't play knight b6. Possibilities are endless. And that's what I love about the Benko. And this fianchetto variation is the main line. And even in the main line we have a lot of possibilities as black. So imagine how good the Benko is. And as I said before, Benko is, in practice, it's even better because it's a defense or a gambit, let's call it a gambit, where you have the initiative and you are in control. Your opponent is the one with some advantage, because he has the extra pawn, because he's playing white, okay, but he has to defend. If he wants to prove his advantage, he has to defend, and that's not easy to do. Even for strong grandmasters, they don't like defending, trust me. So your winning chances are gonna be bigger. And yeah, before we finish this video, I would like to show a game I found in this variation where white plays e4. This is, yeah, the first variation we looked, where white takes on f1, where he castles by hand. So here king takes f1, we play d6 to stop this. White plays de fianchetto, bishop here. Our moves are pretty straightforward when we play the Benko. So even if you don't know theory against this line, you'll be just fine playing the natural moves, knight bd7. And here white plays this weird looking move, bishop g5. And I say weird because I don't think he'll take on f6. And if he does, he's doing us a big favor because we get the bishop pair. But at the same time, white's bishop doesn't have good squares. I mean, I don't like the idea of giving this bishop away, but at the same time I don't see where this bishop is going. Bishop e3, you know, we can try moves like this, so the bishop on e3 is not comfortable. Bishop d2 looks too passive, but maybe this was the right way to go. It looks almost impossible for white to play b3, because we have tactics with knight takes e4, and as you can see, white is losing material. So yeah, bishop c1 doesn't have great squares, maybe bishop f4. But still, suppose this is the best move, then as black I play queen b6, rook fb8, I make sure most of my pieces are playing, and white, well, he has the extra pawn, he is somehow holding his material advantage, but I also have ideas. I can try playing with c4 and knight c5, I can try knight e8, knight c7, and the more I trade, this is something worth remembering too, the more I trade, the better for black. This sounds funny because white, he has the extra pawn, so trading should be favoring white, but this is not so. In this position, white is full of weaknesses. Believe it or not, he's full of weaknesses, and the endgame is clearly favoring black. Let me show you a possible variation. Suppose he plays, I'll play some random moves as white, but I just want to show you what could happen. I played, yeah, these useless moves, but in the meantime, black is trading pieces off with knight b5. This knight c3 is very important for him, protecting the pawn on e4, holding the pawn on a2. It's like knight c3 is one of the bases of white's position, and now I'm trading this knight off. And yeah, he has to take, otherwise I can take on c3, I can play knight d4. I also try, yeah, I can take the pawn on a2. So this is what I'm talking about. If we trade too much, then it's better for black. Let's say he plays a3, then I don't mind playing queen a4. As I was saying, the more I trade, the better for black. Now e4 is hanging, so is b2, so is a3. White has few pieces defending on the queen side, and in this variation we traded two of them, queen c2 and knight c3. And as black we keep all our pluses. I mean, the queen side is basically ours. And as you'll see, if you see a lot of Benko games, you'll see in some endgames we can also destroy this center fortress. e4 is protecting d5, but in some positions we can play f5, attacking on e4, and then d5 is lonely. I mean, it's a clear target in a lot of endgames. Why? because e4 disappears, and this rupture is a frequent rupture in Benko endgames. I know this sounds a bit advanced, but these are things you'll realize after you play like 20 or more games in the Benko. If you're a lifetime Benko player, you probably know all these things. And the Benko is, as I said, is a gambit where you have to rely on your position understanding, on knowing the plans, and not relying on memorizing variations. That's not the way to go when you play the Benko. Here you have a gambit to play against d4 if you're looking for some action, if you're trying to attack and make your opponent defend. If these things are what you're looking for, then the Benko is the right choice for you. You have an article below the video. You have much more information about this great gambit. And yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you found this useful. I hope you could learn something. And of course, I want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.